Okay, good morning. We are now being recorded on Zoom and are live on YouTube.
Okay, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the final New York State DNA Subcommittee meeting of 2025. At this time, I'll take attendance to establish a quorum. We will be conducting business today through roll call as members are present both in Albany and virtually. So please respond present when I call on you. Dr. Bieber is unable to attend. Dr. Corrado?
Present.
Dr. Gettings is unable to attend due to the current government shutdown. Dr. Kidd is also unable to attend. Dr. Smith,
Present.
Dr. Sozer,
Present.
and thank you. With myself, we have established a quorum. The first item on our agenda today is to vote to approve the agenda. You've all received a draft agenda for today's meeting. Is there any discussion regarding this agenda? Okay, hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for this meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Corrado. Do I have a second?
I second.
I have a second from Dr. Smith. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
And Dr. Sozer.
Aye.
The motion carries. Our next item on the agenda is to review and approve the draft minutes from our August 1st, 2025 meeting. You've all received the draft minutes of our August 1st, 2025 meeting. Is there any discussion regarding these minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes of the August 1st, 2025 meeting?
So moved.
I couldn't see that Dr. Smith. Thank you, Dr. Smith. We have a motion from Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
I second. I'll second.
Okay, I think Dr. Corrado beat us here. So Dr. Corrado has seconded the motion. Thank you so much for that. When I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
And Dr. Sozer.
Aye.
This motion carries. Next up on our agenda is our accreditation and laboratory updates. Our first lab is Monroe County Crime Lab. We do have members of the lab virtually that are able to speak. In August, the laboratory performed an internal QAS audit. There was one finding related to the late submission of external audit recommendation in 2024. The laboratory had already notified us of this, and the subcommittee reviewed their corrective action document back at our May meeting. Does anyone have any questions for the laboratory? Okay, hearing none. We'll move to our next item, which is from the New York City OCME Department of Forensic Biology. Again, we will not need to vote, but we do have members of the laboratory available for any questions. ANAB conducted a desk audit to add rapid DNA to their scope of accreditation. This scope extension does not require a vote as the extension is based on a change to the QAS documents in ANAB's scoping and is not new technology to the laboratory. Back in October, the laboratory underwent a surveillance assessment with witnessing, and there were no findings. The laboratory is awaiting their final documents from ANAB. Does anyone have any questions for the laboratory?
I have a quick question if they're available.
Okay, Dr. Corrado has a question. If we could just give a second for the to pull up the members of the lab.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. O'Connor.
Yes, Craig O'Connor here, Director of Forensic Biology. I have with me Tiffany Vasquez, our DNA Technical Leader, and Karen McKay, our Quality Assurance Manager. Apologies, we weren't expecting to get through this quickly. We're still gathering.
Well, if there's any more people, you're going to have to get a bigger office.
I'm trying, Dr. Coble. And Meredith Rosenberg, our Deputy Director. All right, we're ready.
Okay.
My apologies.
All right, no worries. Thank you all for being there and answering my questions. I just have a few, and I think they're simple. I just want to make sure I understand a few things. So I just want to be sure that the rapid DNA methodology that you've been using, that it was at one time, that the validation for that was audited at one time by someone doing a QAS audit.
Yes, it has been.
It was, okay.
During
and
our
also
full assessment in 2023.
During your post.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we had brought it to the subcommittee when we first finished validation in 2019, I believe.
Yeah.
So we've been audited against the QoS since then.
I think they looked at it in 2021 as well. We're at our solo external QAS and at the reassessment with an external QAS.
We just haven't put it into place for use in his work until now.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, I'm just having a little bit of a hard time hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. Craig, could you and
Probably
your
our
team
microphone.
just,
Let me see if I can move it. How's that?
yeah, maybe just sort of
perfect.
repeat the summary that we just heard about the 2021, 2023, so forth.
So the rapid validation was reviewed by auditors in 2021 as part of an external QAS, and during the reassessment in 2023 as well. I think when we came in front of the DNA subcommittee in 2019, prior to that. So those are when we were reviewed externally. And then we have an external QAS in 2 weeks. So they'll be looking at our proficiency tests. We've done internal proficiency tests for the rapid DNA.
And I just said we had gotten it approved a while ago, but we haven't put it into use for casework until now. So that's why the scope extension happened now.
Okay, that was my second question. I just wanted to know, is it being used in casework? And if so, is it just being used in identification of human remains, or is it being used in day-to-day casework as well?
So we had a very limited presentation when we presented it back in 2019 to the subcommittee, so limited use. So it's mainly sort of on the shelf for potential mass disaster family reference samples. It's just the Andy swab that we have approved for use right now. And so I think the test cases that we'll use it for now are family reference samples for missing persons cases. That was how we were going to sort of keep it in use on a limited basis throughout the year, and just have it available if we need it for a larger scale event.
Okay, thank you. That helps me understand it. And one last question, I think you maybe already answered it, but I don't see it on the scope that was provided to us, but is that because you haven't been given the scope with it added on there yet?
You should have, they did give us an updated.
I don't see it yet.
Oh, you know what? I think they gave us a draft scope and we said, yes, it looks good. Perhaps they're going to give that with the final documents for the surveillance assessment.
Yeah, where is it on 41? Because I didn't see it there. Maybe I missed it. So
It's its own category thing. So on page 41, discipline and practice. Page 4 is biology.
oh,
Up
at the
at the
top. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. it was there and I missed it. I thought it would be as a component parameter. Okay.
They have it separately listed.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So that's on me. Thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other questions for the laboratory on this subject? Okay, thank you all for joining in.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. We'll move on next to Onondaga County Center for Forensic Services Laboratory. There again, no vote is required. We do have members of the laboratory available to speak. In September, the laboratory underwent a surveillance assessment without witnessing. There were no findings, and ANAB has issued continuation of accreditation documents. Does anyone have any questions for the laboratory? Okay, hearing none. We will next move to Suffolk County Crime Laboratory. Let's see. There again, no vote. I'm sorry. We will vote to issue a binding recommendation. We do have members of the laboratory available to speak. Back in August, the laboratory underwent a full reaccreditation assessment activity. This included an external QAS audit. There were no findings. ANAB has renewed the laboratory's accreditation. Congratulations. Are there any questions for the laboratory? Okay, hearing none, then do I have a motion to issue a binding recommendation to the Commission on Forensic Science to renew the New York State accreditation of the Suffolk County Crime Laboratory in the discipline of biology for the period concurrent with its ANAB accreditation set to expire December 31st, 2029?
So moved.
I have a motion by Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
I will second that.
I have a second by Dr. Corrado. Sorry, I'm trying to get my Zoom out of the way here. So when I call on your vote, when I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
And Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
The motion carries. Our last item on our lab updates, the Nassau County Office of the Medical Examiner Division of Forensic Services. Again, we do have individuals from the lab able to speak. In October, the laboratory underwent a surveillance assessment without witnessing. There were no findings. The laboratory is waiting for their final documents from ANAB. Do we have any questions for the laboratory? Okay. Hearing none, that concludes this item of our agenda. We'll next move to old business. Our first item is a partial match update. So at this time, Ms. Palmer, she'll give an update regarding the partial match program.
Up our numbers. And if you'd allow, I'll just go do the familial search at the same time.
Sounds good.
Okay. So the partial match, there are no updates at this time. The program remains kind of stagnant. 93 total applications, 49 names released. Additional testing could not confirm the other 44, and so all investigations are closed. There are pretty much the last time we had an update was 2019. Familial search, updates since our last meeting. 5 applications have been received, 3 initial and 2 renewals. 5 applications have been approved. 1 application has been withdrawn, and 5 searches have been completed. 3 no results, and 2 with results. So that brings our totals to 80 applications. In total, 62 initial, 10 renewals with 8 resubmissions. And of the 62 approved, we have 11 in queue, 51 completed, 38 with no releasable results, 13 with releasable results. 5 of those are open and 8 are closed. So that's our update.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions on either of these issues, the partial match or the familial search update? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the next item, which is our CODIS Bulletins update. And so it's my understanding that Michelle Adams has notified OFS that there are no relevant CODIS Bulletins at this time. Thank you. Next on the agenda is our next generation sequencing validation update. In response to the request made at the May 2nd meeting relating to their validation of next generation sequencing, the New York State Police Crime Laboratory has provided additional information. So there are members of the laboratory present in Albany that are going to present their findings, their information here. And after the presentation, we'll have time for questions.
So should she stand up there with the phone to present, or would you rather her able to keep their phone?
I think for questions,
You're okay today.
Can you hear me, Dr. Coble?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Wonderful. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, so if we're ready, we'll get started. Could we go back a slide, please? So I'm Jamie Belrose. I'm a forensic scientist in the New York State Police Crime Lab here in Albany. And our team was before you on May 2nd, and we presented our internal validation of the Verigen Forensic Intelligence Kit. At that time, the members of the subcommittee asked us for additional information, and we'd like to discuss that with you today. Next slide, please. So I'd just like to do a quick recap regarding the Forensic Intelligence Kit. This particular kit targets 10,230 forensically relevant SNP loci for database searching specifically. These particular loci overlap with the direct-to-consumer kit, and the vendor has intentionally avoided medically relevant SNPs as well as rare markers. And majority of the kit is kinship focused, specifically for forensic investigative genetic genealogy. There are 6 marker types included, as you can see on the chart there on the slide. We have X and Y SNPs, identity informative SNPs, ancestry informative SNPs, phenotype informative SNPs. And as you can see, the kinship informative SNPs make up the large majority, just shy of 9,900 SNPs. Also, the average amplicon size in this kit is less than 150 base pairs, which lends itself well to the graded sample. It targets 1 nanogram of input DNA, but that's in a volume of 25 microliters. And the universal analysis software, which is part of this intelligence workflow, offers a pre-configured GEDmatch Pro report for direct upload. Next slide, please. Something weird happened. Thank you. So just a quick recap of the studies that we performed in our internal validation. We did evaluate the run quality metrics, and all but one run parameter passed the manufacturer's recommendation. For sensitivity, we used an analytical threshold of 3%. And all of the data, with the exception of one of our low-level samples in our sensitivity study, the profiles did exceed the 6,000 SNP threshold that's set by GEDmatch. And when we reduced the analytical threshold to 1.5%, all of the samples in our study satisfied the 6,000 SNPs that are required by GEDmatch for upload. In our precision and accuracy study, we obtained comparable read counts for both a team approach and a singular analyst approach to library preparation. And all of the samples had high concordance with these profiles. We also looked at known and mock samples, and all of the knowns had comparable read counts to all other 1 nanogram samples. We also took a look at the AI-PI SNP information and compared that to self-reported data, and all matched with the exception of one parameter. And the average call rates for these particular samples, the mock samples being a bit more challenging, was 99.25%. We also looked at mixture identification, and the universal analysis software was able to determine a mixture at a ratio of 1 to 19 for both a male-male and a male-female pair. We also did a contamination assessment, and our drop-in frequencies for both the positive and the negative amplification controls were extremely low. And we also did negative sequencing controls, where we used the dual indices from previous runs to monitor for run-to-run carryover, and none was observed. Lastly, we took the samples from this particular validation and we uploaded them to GEDmatch Pro. When we started this validation, we intentionally sought out donors that had direct-to-consumer profiles that they had obtained on their own privately and were willing to share with us, and they had uploaded to GEDmatch. So we were able to match all of our validation samples to the self-matches that were already present in GEDmatch, as well as to their known family members. And this was also true for samples in our dilution series, and even if they had low call rates, we were still able to match those individuals. Next slide, please. So when we were here in May, the members of the DNA subcommittee did request additional information from our team. And so the first topic was regarding relatives and mixtures, specifically first-order relatives. We were also asked to provide a procedure for use, an interpretation policy, and a reporting policy. Next slide, please. So the first thing that we started with was a literature review. We were specifically looking for published information from other labs that were using Kintelligence. They were looking at first-order relatives, and they had created mixtures from those relatives. And we were not able to locate this information. So next, we moved to the Connected Papers website, as you can see there on the slide. We use the developmental validation for Kintelligence as the seed for this particular test. And all of those papers are related to Kintelligence. And none of them that we could find had mixtures of first-order relatives. Next slide, please. So from there, we tried some other avenues of obtaining information. We all know that a lot of times internal validations at crime labs are not considered novel by journals, so it can be difficult to locate this information in the published literature. So we reached out to the vendors themselves. We know that a number of labs that are implementing this technology are utilizing validation assistance, as our lab has. So we reached out to our contacts at QIAGEN and asked if they were aware of other labs that are also validating or have implemented this particular technology that has made mixtures involving first-order relatives. They were not aware of any. So lastly, we also reached out to the forensic community via several listservs to ask. For example, we use the TL message board, and there is a forensic sequencing board, and there is a board that involves analysts from crime labs across the nation. And we received responses. The community is very generous and responsive. However, there were no labs that had performed this particular type of testing. So to satisfy the subcommittee's request, our team did perform an additional study of related mixtures. Next slide, please. So here's an outline of the related mixture study that we performed. We began by obtaining buccal swabs from 4 members from the same family. We have a mother, a daughter, a father, and a son, and you can see their position in the pedigree there on the slide. We created first order related mixtures of the father and son and the mother and daughter at the 3 ratios indicated, 19:1, 49:1, and 99:1. We prepared 1 Kintelligence library, so that's comprised of 12 samples. We had a positive and negative amplification control. We also had 4 single source samples for the 4 individuals that we were testing, and we utilized these single source samples as our truth profile. And then we ran the 6 mixtures that were described above. Next slide, please. So essentially, here are the results that we obtained. So with the question being, can the universal analysis software that is associated with Kintelligence, can it determine that there is a mixture present if the individuals contributing to the mixture are first order relatives? And the answer is yes, but it depends on the ratio and it depends on the analytical threshold being utilized. So these particular charts here, we have the father, son, and the mother-daughter pairs. And we, all the way to the left, we have the analytical threshold, so at 3%. The 2 rows at the top, those are the single source profiles for those particular individuals. So we have the father and the son. Those are the truth profiles. And below that, we have the 3 mixtures. So the father, son at 19:1, 49:1, and 99:1. And you can see that at 19:1, the UAS software was able to determine, in fact, that this is a mixture, and it called the biological sex inconclusive. However, for the other mixtures at 49:1 and 99:1, the software called those single source samples. So we lowered the analytical threshold to 1.5%. You can see that in the panel below with a similar setup. And when we did that, we could additionally obtain at 49:1 that this is also a mixture. But at 99:1, it remains single source. And we obtained similar results in the mother-daughter pair. You can see at 3% and at 19:1, the contributor status is reported as inconclusive, so something other than single source. And if we lower the analytical threshold to 1.5%, we also gain the 49:1 as inconclusive, but 99:1 remains single source. Next slide, please. So why is it that when we lower the analytical threshold that we are able to identify these profiles as being something other than single source? Well, on the chart on the left, you can see on the y-axis, we have allelic recovery, and along the x-axis, we have the 6 mixtures that were utilized in the study. The blue bars represent the analytical threshold at 3%, and the red bars represent 1.5. And you can see that more of the major contributors' profile is being obtained when we lower the threshold. So that's fantastic. But if you move to the other chart, more importantly, when you lower the threshold to 1.5%, we're able to call more unique alleles from the minor contributor. So that's a dead giveaway that there's a mixture. But I think you can see that for 19:1, 49:1, and 99:1, that those red bars are steadily decreasing. So it's becoming more and more difficult as the mixtures become more disparate to detect the minor contributor. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, allele sharing among related individuals may affect the accuracy of contributor status determination by the software. At 19:1 for both the father and son and the mother and daughter pairs, they were identified as something other than single source. If we lower the analytical threshold from 3% to 1.5%, this may assist the software in identifying additional mixture ratios. So that was true for us at 49:1 for both the father, son, and the mother, daughter. They were mixture and inconclusive, so not single source. However, at 99:1, both of the mixtures at both analytical thresholds was still called single source. So for us, samples that have been flagged as mixture or inconclusive will not be uploaded to the GEDmatch Pro portal. Next slide, please. So we took it one step further. In our case management protocol, you'll note that we are requiring an SDR profile before a case advances to Kintelligence testing. So we ran all these samples through Global Filer, which is the amplification kit that we currently have online. So all of the mixture samples and the reagent blanks were amplified with global filers. There were no peaks present in our reagent blank. And using current casework STR procedures, all of the mixtures, with the exception of one, were identified as two donor mixtures. So in reality, with the exception of the one in red, the father-son 99-1, none of these mixture samples would have advanced to intelligence testing. Next slide, please. So a little bit about our case management protocol. We are going to ask that the agencies have a consultation with the lab if they are interested in intelligence testing. We're also going to require an investigative commitment. If we go through the testing to create a SNP profile that is uploaded to GEDmatch Pro that results in a match list that is provided to the agency, we are asking that they be followed up on. We're also going to discuss with them the acceptable case types, given that we are utilizing a public database that has rules, primarily resolving unsolved violent crime and unidentified human remains. We'll also talk to them about sample requirements. So we'll require that it has an STR profile for confirmation after forensic investigative genetic genealogy. It will also need to have the appropriate quantity and quality to move forward. For submissions, we will accept DNA extracts, previously processed substrate material that is left over, as well as evidence for fresh testing. We also will offer investigative assistance to investigators that are building family trees. We can provide YSDR testing as well as kinship testing. However, our lab is not going to offer genealogical services. Next slide, please. So our policy for suitability for upload, once a run has been determined as suitable for analysis, the samples will be evaluated for upload. So a sample will be suitable for GEDmatch Pro upload when all of the following criteria have been satisfied. The biological sex is well defined as female or male and aligns with the STR typing result. The contributor status of the sample is defined only as single source. Again, we will not be uploading inconclusive or mixture. And there are at least 6,000 SNPs typed. Next slide, please. A sample will be considered not suitable for upload to GEDmatch Pro portal, and no further analysis will be completed if any of the following criteria are true. The biological sex is defined as inconclusive and does not align with STR typing. The contributor status is defined as inconclusive or mixture. The loci typed are fewer than 6,000 SNPs, or a sample has 6,000 SNPs, has been uploaded to GEDmatch Pro. They also perform a series of quality testing, and they can also determine that a sample is insufficient. Next slide, please. So our reporting policy, our report will state that the suitable profile was uploaded to GEDmatch Pro, and if that's the case, we will provide the agency with the kit number ID. The uploaded profiles, the match list, will be shared via the GEDmatch Pro portal with an invite. And at this time, we will not be reporting on the ancestry and phenotypic SNP subset within the kit. Next slide, please. So here we have some examples of the conclusions that will be utilized in our reports. So suitable for upload, a SNP DNA profile was developed and uploaded to GEDmatch Pro. And along with that, as I said, we will provide them with the kit ID number. For samples that will not be moving forward, so we have mixture. The SNP DNA profile developed was a mixture and is not suitable for upload, and no further testing will be performed. If the sample was low level or no data, the SNP DNA profile developed was insufficient for upload and no further testing will be performed, or simply that a SNP DNA profile was not developed. And lastly, we've included case closed by agency request. The SNP DNA profile was developed, profile developed was not uploaded to GEDmatch Pro per the submitting agency's request. Next slide, please. And with that, we'll take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Belrose. Do we have any questions? I see Dr. Smith.
Dr. Smith.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. And again, I congratulate you guys on doing a very thorough validation, both what you talked to us about before, and it takes a little courage to do some of this work in these circumstances, but I'm glad to see, as a public lab, you're throwing your hat in the ring to do this. So I'm a little curious, since you took the time to do something that it seems like nobody else has done, what are your plans to get this out there so other people know about it? That's one question. But before we get to that, I'm just curious because, when you did the study, you're concerned that you wouldn't detect a mixture. But at the end of the day, what's the output? Because if you take this data and actually, run it through the database, what's the difference in the results? So I'd be curious to see, could you consider taking it one step further, taking those results, especially the 1 to 99, to see what the difference would be if you actually ran it through. That's something.
Yeah. So there are two parts to this question. First, the family that generously donated to our study specifically requested that we not upload their profiles to GenMax Pro, which is why we did not. However, I do have an answer for your question. So after we asked the vendor, they also thought it was a very intriguing question. And unbeknownst to us, they conducted their own research. And they contacted us and asked if we would like to know. So we talked to them last week, and they conducted a study that was very similarly designed to ours. And they told us that they presented a poster at ISHI this past week. And in fact, if you have a low-level mixture that is uploaded to GenMax Pro, it does not negatively impact the resulting match list. It still brings you to the same family tree, right? So, yeah, actually, I believe it was advantageous. They said that it matched. So, for example, I believe it was a father-son one. It matched to the father, but then there was also maternal lineages for the son that was involved in the mixture as well. So it was more like a triangulation. But yeah, there were no detrimental effects if a mixture were in fact to be uploaded of closely related individuals.
So if you can, within your report, I think that would be good information to have. To kind of complete the loop in a sense, if you can, so that it's some confidence. So I think that'd be good. But that's up to you, how you address that. The other thing is, how are you going to decide 1.5 or 3%?
So we considered this as well. It is in our intelligence assay protocol. For the standard, we're going to go with 3%, right, because we're more confident in those data. However, if a profile were to be inconclusive, or if you were to have close to but not enough to meet the 6,000 threshold, we have left it up to analyst discretion to lower the threshold.
So the technical leader will review, or how will that protocol?
It will probably be in consultation with the technical leader, yes.
I also just want to thank you for the very thorough job you did on the validation and on the presentation. It was excellent. And I really don't have any questions. I did just want to point out that the case management document that you're including in your policy, I thought was fantastic. It was very thorough and very clear, and I would post that in everyday casework labs have a case management policy that delineates all of the information that you get. So I just wanted to thank you for that as well.
And then how are you going to get the word out before it's done? Okay.
We're live on YouTube.
Are there any other questions? I would like to also echo. I think this is fabulous work. It's really adds to the validation, and I love that flow chart. You've done some. You can tell you've done some really good work here.
Thank you.
Okay. If no other questions, again, thank you. And at this time, I would like to propose that the subcommittee table the vote to approve next generation sequencing. One of our key members of the subcommittee, Dr. Gettings, did have some questions last time, and unfortunately, she's not able to participate at this time. So I think at this time, I would like to propose that we table the vote and we'll bring it up at our next meeting, hoping that the government's still not shut down.
Mike, I just want to ask, is it something, is it presumptuous for us to ask Dr. Gettings maybe to provide some questions? Only because there's time ticking.
Unfortunately,
You can't do that?
we
Okay.
can't. I don't think she can do that.
Okay.
So in conversation, we're kind of stuck right now.
Okay.
Perhaps if the shutdown ended, we could convene another meeting before the December commission meeting. If we could, we could do our best to do that. If possible, we'd have to, poll all of you and see if we get you together. Do that, but otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be good for the lab, to be honest. I mean, I think they've done all this work. They've extended it because we asked them to do it. And if possible, I mean, I'd be willing to meet again to make sure it gets addressed. I hate to hold them up, only because, it seems like the information's there. We could all address it. I'll raise my hand and be willing to maybe meet again if we could, to make sure everybody's concerns are addressed. I don't know what your timeline is. I just didn't want to push it back much longer, given that you've, done this effort. So.
Just for awareness, we do have full acceptance in January where we have requested a scope extension and this to be present on it because we're hopeful the timing would work out. So I know clearly that this is ancillary information for you all, but if it's possible, we would greatly appreciate some sort of convening. And I do know that I believe that I'm not sure if your presence is requested at the December meeting or not, or how that's working out, but the team has put a great amount of work into this, and the timing being as it is, we did have a little snafu with some contracts and funding and getting a kit, and here we are. But we presented it, and I think that if we could possibly mediate some sort of resolution, we would greatly appreciate it, as well as the phones that are ringing, because folks already know that we are that close to being online.
I would just like to say that I support us having convening a meeting to vote on this as well. I feel like the lab did do their due diligence, and the sooner we can get them online, the better. I guess I would also just add the meeting likely has to be before the commission meeting so we can make a binding recommendation to the commission so they can vote on it as well. So it would be great if we could get this done before the end of the year so the lab can move forward.
I echo everything that's just been said. Yeah, I think we should really try our best to try to convene a meeting to vote on this. Again, we're kind of waiting on the federal government here, but I think we'll try to get something done if possible, yes. Okay, thank you all very, very much. Okay, moving back to our agenda, our next item is an update about QIAGEN. So the BioTwig, our biology technical working group, they have submitted a memo with the information requested at our August meeting. Does anyone have any questions regarding this information? See Dr. Corrado?
Yes, thank you. I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank the BioTwig for sending the memos in. I thought they were very thorough, and I appreciate the labs doing their job and getting the information to us.
I completely agree. Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. And thank you again to the BioTwig for compiling this and putting it together. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. Our next item on our agenda are the what we're calling the NIST reports. It's my understanding that the commission reviewed our letters at their September meeting. Mr. Schranz, could you please provide us with an update?
Yes, thank you, Dr. Coble. As you just indicated, at the last commission meeting in September, the commission discussed the working group reviews of the NIST publications. As part of that discussion, the commission invited members of the subcommittee to attend for further discussion at the December commission meeting. The OFS has provided for your information certain questions that we received from 3 members of the commission regarding those reports. And I would, if there is a discussion between the subcommittee and the commission regarding the publications, I would anticipate that those questions may be asked subject to time constraints, scope, and relevance. We would, I guess, urge the members of the subcommittee to check their availability, and OFS can coordinate with the members to determine your availability, if possible, for a further discussion with the commission regarding those reports.
Any questions or comments or thoughts, I guess? Good.
Yeah, does anyone have... Sorry, go ahead, Dr. Corrado, sorry.
Nope, I think we're good here in Albany, and OFS will coordinate with you as you need.
Okay. Sounds good. Any other discussion on this matter before we move to our next item? Okay. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is new business, an annual CODIS security audit update. Ms. Palmer, would you mind providing us with any information regarding the annual CODIS security audit?
Sure. As you may recall, by the regulations that govern accreditation in the New York State Data Bank, our office, OFS, conducts annual audits, security audits every year of our labs here in New York State. So my staff went around to each of our labs and conducted the audits. There were no findings this year in the audits, and so we're giving you a memo just to summarize the fact that we are still in compliance and the labs are meeting the requirements here.
Okay, any questions for Ms. Palmer? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda are laboratory disclosures. First up is Monroe County Crime Laboratory. We do have members of the laboratory available to speak. The laboratory has notified us of the closeout of a sample switch during the extraction process first discussed at our August meeting. Previous casework was reviewed and reanalysis was performed on a subset of cases, and no additional cases were found to be affected. The analyst returned to casework. Do we have any questions for the laboratory on this item? Okay, hearing none. Next up is from the New York City OCME, Department of Forensic Biology. Again, we do have members of the laboratory available to speak. The laboratory has provided additional interim updates to their case-to-case contamination investigation. The lab is currently moving forward working with a statistical consultant to design a method for continuous evaluation of contamination risk. Do we have any questions for the laboratory? Okay, hearing none. Thank you. We'll move on to the next item of business, which is the Westchester County Department of Labs and Research Division of Forensic Science. We do have members of the laboratory available to speak. The laboratory has provided an initial notification of items of evidence that may be affected by water damage. A bin containing evidence cuttings had accumulated water in the walk-in refrigerator. The sample evaluation is currently ongoing. Are there any questions for the laboratory? Okay, hearing none. Thank you. We'll move to the next item, which is the New York State Police Crime Laboratory. There are members of the laboratory present there in Albany that are available to speak. The laboratory has provided an initial notification of an analyst with incomplete case assignments in which a DNA report had not been issued in a reasonable time frame. All supervisors were instructed to identify any additional assignments with unusual time frames, and no other instances were identified, and the investigation is still ongoing. Are there any questions for the laboratory? I see Dr. Corrado. We can pass the phone.
Hi. Hi. I have a couple questions, but the first question, I guess, was could you just explain a little bit how this came about, maybe, how it was identified?
Thank you. I think from my view and what I'm seeing now, because again, we're still kind of investigating everything that's going on, but what seems to be one of the introductory factors was the individual had changed supervisors. So we had shuffling in our org chart, and because the tracking of how folks were doing their cases, so they do weekly huddles and would check in. This was a new supervisor and kind of tracked things differently than the last supervisor. So I think that is probably the starting point.
Another question I had was, I saw that you indicated that you had all your bioscience research supervisors run a query, which I think is great. And I guess I would just ask, have you considered doing that in all your other disciplines? Because I've found in my lab, if I see something in one discipline, or my old lab, sometimes it would show up in others too. So are you also looking at other disciplines?
Yeah, that was a new first thought was, sorry, can you hear me okay if I just use my outdoor voice and not my church voice? I think so, right? Okay.
I'm okay. I don't know.
So that immediately was my first concern as lab director. You're kind of looking at it from a different perspective than just the bio section. I did speak with the supervisor from another section. The other disciplines do tend to be more time dependent because of court proceedings. So, typically in drug cases, they're waiting on charges. People wait. Toxicology, the timing of the fact usually quick, and firearms with the but we will look into lab leaders talking more about this and the standard query that we now have for all folks.
I think that's a good, I appreciate that. I think that's a good idea. And one last question I had, and I'm not sure if I'm directing it necessarily to you or to DCJS, but on this form, which I like the form very much, I see there's a box for notification to customers, and you indicated yes. And I guess my thought on what that originally meant was if this was an issue that was of such a high level that we had to report it to the customers, that there was something going on. So I don't know if that's how it's meant to be or not. And if you checked yes in this situation, which I don't know, I guess if you could explain why you checked.
Once we became aware of the time frame of the report and the length in which it's been held up and not released in this fashion, our case management senior investigator reached out because I had requested to actually meet with the agency to let them know. In this instance, there were previous reports that were issued. There was no subsequent follow-up from the agency. So we weren't quite sure where the case was at. So we figured that it was best to reach out immediately and find out what's going on. And so I had a conversation with them, clearly not the timeline that we strive for. And so since then, we had a report to them, and I just don't know.
Okay, that makes sense. So you did reach out to this specific customer to notify them of this issue. And I don't know if this is a question or just a thought. I guess what I wonder is if that particular question also would mean in general, like, was there a notification sent out to all agencies or prosecutors, which in this instance, I don't think is necessary for this. I'm not saying it was, but I mean, how is BCJS interpreting that particular, do we know?
So this is, as you know, this is new, a new iteration of this. We tried to develop the form in thinking of how conversations have been framed, the commission or the subcommittee or with lab. And so this is our first pass at this. Whether we left it open to interpretation because depending on the event being recorded, it might mean something, as you very accurately point out. So giving the lab the discretion to comment on that. But we heard this question asked a variety of ways, so we included it, at least on the first version of our form, kind of open. So it can be a conversation point. We did consider drilling down further, but we figured in version 1.1, we started here.
Like many things, it'll be case by case.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that makes sense because I think like this now, we can ask that question if we have it, and if others have questions, they can ask it. So I appreciate the clarification on it. Those are my only questions.
Does anyone have any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jill, for the update. That concludes our agenda for laboratory disclosures. Next up is there's no items to be discussed in an executive meeting, so so we need to go into executive session. We will now move to the final agenda item here, which is our next subcommittee meeting, barring a potential meeting in the interim to vote on the New York State Police intelligence validation. Our next meeting will be February 6, 2026. The location will be announced at a later date. At this point, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
I have a motion from Dr. Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Dr. Corrado. So when I call on you, please state your vote. My vote is aye. Dr. Corrado?
Aye.
Dr. Smith?
Aye.
And Dr. Sozer?
Aye.
Thank you. The motion carries. And thank you all for a great meeting. And we will see you again in February.